All right, we're going to talk about minimum wage, but we are not going to get into a political argument. The entire point of this show is to separate money, business, and economics from politics. Most shows and media and magazines or whatever about money, it's usually really dry, really boring. They're geared towards really well-off investors dealing with Wall Street stocks with money most of us will never see. Or oftentimes, most of the time, it is geared towards influencing how you vote. How you vote is how you vote. Your politics are yours. No matter how you vote, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter your race, your gender, your sex, everybody wants to make more money. And we want to keep the money that we already have. And that's the entire point of this show. This show is about the science of economics. Because economics is a science. And science is real, whether you believe it or not. Probably this meme that you've seen. It started last year, but it's circling around again, and it's correlating the average cost of rent with minimum wage. Now, I agree with you. People should be able to work a job and afford to live, and afford a place to live. However, there is actually no real correlation between wages and rent. Both of these things are affected by outside factors, and those outside factors is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do any of that, let's take a trip back in time to the mid-20th century, to the U.S.S.R. Comrade, привет! Добро пожаловать! United Soviet Socialist Republic. Let me see your papers, please. In the Soviet Union, everybody made the same wage. Everybody was paid the same paycheck, whether you were the janitor or you were a high official. Everyone made the same. However, a little known fact about the Soviet Union is that there were two types of stores. Now, state-run stores, obviously, don't have a choice. Store one, which is the store that most people shopped at, only had goods that were made in the Soviet Union, did not have many choices, one type of butter, one type of bread, if there actually was butter in bread. And all of the stores all across Russia had the same price. Now, there was a second type of store. And these stores had all kinds of goods from all over the world, quality stuff, and everything, even the goods that were the same goods sold at the other Russian stores, everything had lower prices. Most people were only allowed to shop at this one particular store with these set prices. But if you were a special person, party member, you had access to these other stores where you could buy things, the same things, for cheaper. And you could buy more things from all over the world, for cheaper. So even though everybody was getting paid the same amount of money, an elite few had access to purchase goods at a cheaper price, which pretty much makes it like they're getting paid more money. So that is a reality of communism. That is a reality of the Soviet Union, because no matter what, people work under incentive. And if you want people to be a member of your political party that kills people and denies freedom and puts a wall through a city in Germany, you're going to have to give them some kind of an incentive to be your minions. So, hey, comrade, you are a good party member. Instead of shopping at the bullshit store, you can come and shop at fancy store where you can get all your goods for a much cheaper price. All you have to do is kick boots into faces of anybody who does not agree with Communist Party. Good deal. If you are curious to learn more about the Soviet Union, I highly recommend the book called The Russians by Hedrick Smith. He was able to go and spend some time in Russia. It's all first-hand account of what life was like in the Soviet Union. Excellent book, highly recommended. All right, fast forward to modern day 21st century America and minimum wage and high rent. Boom! Money is a tool, no different than a hammer, a flat iron, or scuba gear. And like scuba gear, if you know how to use that tool and you understand how the tool works, then you will have an amazing world full of excitement and wonder at your fingertips. But if you don't know how to use that scuba gear, you're gonna drown. Just like money. Wages, paychecks, hourly rates. When you are applying for a job, you are competing against other people applying for the same job. In the same sense, when you're in the store and you're trying to figure out which widget you want to buy, you've got all these different brands, these different varieties, different flavors, And you are trying to choose which one is going to be the best for you and which one is going to be the best deal for your money. That is the exact same experience that an employer is going through when they were looking at all these candidates coming to apply for a job. Now, the other side of wages is when an employer needs somebody with a specialized skill. Now, that is when the tables have turned. Because the more specialized your skills and the more unique your skills, to where there's less and less people who have those skills and abilities, then that increases your potential wages. Because then the employers are all competing with each other to hire you. This is the back and forth of economics. Nobody is really born with a specialized skill. Skills are something that you learn over time. And whether it be the electrician, the plumber, or the guy who knows how to fix your boat, we spent time, energy, and money to learn these skills. And if you want us to come over and provide you with our time, our energy, and our knowledge, you're gonna have to reimburse us. And you're going to have to reimburse us with more than what you're willing to pay somebody who was not willing to take the time, the energy, and spend the money to learn what we learned. And that's the way wages work. Before World War II and throughout the entirety of America's history, only about 30% of the population was employed. The other 70% of Americans had their own hustle, ran their own game, had their own trade, did their own thing. It's one of the reasons when you look back at old businesses, they always had the owner's name, Jim Bob's Construction Company, Tanner Manure, Jack Daniel's Whiskey, because you were dealing with a person. And that was the reason why people came to America. They came to America so they could have their own business, have their own land, have their own things, and make their own life. Because the economic setup and the politics in their home countries just did not allow it. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure everybody would much rather be doing their own thing, running their own hustle, and being their own boss than working for anybody else. That's the American dream. The average American gives 30% of their income to the government in the form of income tax, sales tax, DMV fees, those little bullshit trinkets they put on your energy bill, and all the other ways they just milk your financial udders to get every little nickel and dime out of you. Income tax in the IRS was originally started to tax the rich, and the rich only. But within 7 years, boom, 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 it changed into hey, let's tax everybody. So when you hear people talking about we should tax the rich, technically, we already taxed the rich, and it backfired on us. Because here's another one of these facts you're not gonna like hearing. Rich people are rich because they understand how money works. Scuba gear. And if you're gonna try to take money away from people who are masters of it, you're not. Because they're better at the scuba gear than you. They're gonna outdive you. They're gonna go deeper and farther through that coral reef than what you're gonna get. Because they understand the tool better than you. And they certainly understand it better than the government. Because governments have a track record of not understanding how money works. Every civilization in the history of the world has fallen and declined due to debasement of currency and central planning, i.e., a lack of understanding economics. G.I. Joe. Taxation, whether it be for a person or a business, is like a hole in the bathtub. And the bathwater is your money. The best way to put 30% more income into the average American's pockets is to reduce taxes. Wages cannot be dictated by the government. They're dictated by the natural order of supply and demand, based upon population and skills. Everything working in a balance. All right, let's talk about rent. I hear people complain all the time about the cost of rent in LA. And what they don't understand is that if rent was any cheaper, there'd be 1 million more people here. The place is overcrowded as it is. The high rents keep it from imploding on itself with human bodies. And that's the reality of it. Landlords across the country have really been getting a bad rap during this pandemic. Here's an interesting fact. Most rental properties make a profit of $200 a month. After the landlord has received the rent, paid the insurance, paid the bank, paid all of his other fees, paid the maintenance, the average profit margin, the average leftover per rental unit is only $200 a month. For the huge 6-digit investment that your landlord made to get that rental property, $200 a month is Now, of course, after the loan is paid off in 30 years, the landlord gets to keep way more of the rental property. But look, let's get real. After 30 years of people living in a home, it's going to need a couple $1,000s worth of refurbishment, modernization, and updates. There is still money that's going to need to be spent and reinvested on that property. It is constantly costing money. So it's not a perfect scenario. And geez, 30 years of juggling tenants and payments and insurance and plumbers. I think after that you deserve to own the place and make more money off of it. Don't you? Wouldn't you want that after having to go through all that? And sure, you can get mortgages for 15 years, but that means your mortgage is higher, which means you're probably having to pay $200 more than what you're receiving in rent. All of these things add up, the balance of supply and demand. And when you got the government sucking property taxes out of people, out of their landlords, that jacks the prices up. When you got the government making it impossible to build affordable housing, when a big company wants to build a big apartment unit, they've got to go through a lot of red tape themselves. They also have to get approval from the city government. And one of the problems is that city governments are more prone to approve a construction company or an investment firm if they're building luxury housing compared to building affordable housing. Because the reason is that business that owns that apartment complex still has to pay taxes to the city, and if they're making more money with luxury housing, that means they're going to pay more taxes. I think I've made my points for this video. But before we go, back in the Soviet Union, you were assigned roommates. Even if you're living in a one-bedroom unit, if you had room in your living room, comrade, we need you to house your fellow comrade. This is Comrade blah blah blah. You've never met him, but governments say you're going to live together. Imagine if the government assigned you a roommate. So when you're thinking, if the government just provided everyone with housing, I wouldn't have to pay rent in LA, and I'd be able to live in this beautiful paradise for free. No, unless you're going to be a party member willing to kick boots in the faces of others. Because the people who are going to be able to live in the nice, desirable areas are the same people that are able to shop at the higher tier stores. So either way, you're going to have to be willing to do what it takes to live in that high value area. Because no matter what your government system, capitalism, communism, the people willing to do what it takes are the people who are going to be rewarded with that lifestyle. Thank you for watching this video. It's a brand new channel and I appreciate all of the support that I can get. Please hit the like button if you liked it. Please hit the subscribe button if you want more madness. And until then, I ask you to enjoy your mind.